Bischoff once said controversy creates cash, but if Sean Strickland was a little bit more controversial in the early parts of his career, maybe he wouldn't be so skint. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. I just want to point out that Sean Strickland is not skint and he's got a hell of a lot more money than me, but we all know that Dana White doesn't really pay his fighters that much, so I'm sure Sean Strickland isn't exactly a multi-millionaire. But anyway, he is known for his controversial takes, and you know what? I like Strickland. He's a pretty good fighter. He won the championship in his last match. He was a big underdog. Nobody expected him to win, but he put on a dominant display, a damn near perfect display, and now he is a world champion in UFC. So fair play to him. He's also an American patriot and whatnot. So yeah, big up Sean Strickland. Good for Sean Strickland. However, he's become a lot more controversial over the years, and he had another controversial take today. So he was talking about Paige VanZant, and as you guys know, Paige VanZant, she is actually hired in the wrestling business, or I believe she was. She did sign for AEW. I think she had a match or two. Not too sure if she still has a contract in the company or whether she's been released or whatnot, but she hasn't been in AEW in a long time. That's not the point, though. The point is, she started an OnlyFans because, let's be honest, it's what all the women do. All these women take the easy way out. They talk about empowerment. They talk about respect me for my ability. You know, don't treat me as a sex object. Yet all they do is treat themselves as sex objects. They sexualize themselves to make money. It's weird. It's like they want their cake and they want to eat it. You know, it's like they want to sexualize themselves to make money from guys, but they don't want guys to sexualize them. It's like, that doesn't make fucking any sense. But anyway, Paige VanZant did start an OnlyFans, and she mentioned how in her first 24 hours, she made more money in that one day than she did her entire UFC career. So she accumulated more money from OnlyFans in 24 hours than she made in all her UFC fights combined, which is quite astonishing, to be honest. But when you factor in that sex sells and she is very hot, and UFC, Dana White, they don't really pay that much, and let's be honest, Paige VanZant wasn't that good a fighter, and she was definitely known more for her looks than her ability. So she came out, she said this, it was creating a little bit of, I don't know, topic, people want the UFC people to get paid more and whatnot. However, Sean Strickland came out and he gave his 2 cents on it, and this is what he said on a tweet on Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon Musk likes to call it these days. He says, quote, Paige VanZant said she made more on OnlyFans in 24 hours than she did in UFC. Let's unpack. Number 1, you were signed because you were hot. Number 2, women's MMA is lame. Number 3, men will pay more to see you naked than to watch you fight. Stay in school, kids. Fighting sucks. LOL. End of quote. So this is what Sean Strickland said, and I can understand how the women are going to come out and bash him, and you know they're going to be acting crazy. They're going to say, how dare he say this? What a pig. Chauvinistic, toxic masculinity, blah, 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 blah. We've all heard it before, but let's actually look at what Sean Strickland said. Let's look at the 3 things that he said. He said, first of all, you were signed because you were hot. I think that's undeniable. I don't think anyone can argue against that. If Paige VanZant wasn't hot, would she have been in the UFC? Would she have been promoted as much as she was? Maybe she would have got 1 or 2 fights in there, but she was treated like a star. She was made out to be a big deal. They put a lot of stock behind Paige VanZant. They promoted Paige VanZant a lot, and they put her higher up the card than she should have been, let's be honest. And I'm guaranteeing you it was because she was a hot blonde chick, and she was relatively young as well. I think when she joined UFC she was like 20, 21. So he's right. Number 1 is right. Number 2, he says women's MMA is lame. It depends what he means by lame, but let's be honest, a man will beat a woman in any sport. And it does not matter. We've seen it in even the contact sports like tennis, for example, the physicality. Serena Williams is considered the best women's tennis player ever. Yet, when she took on someone that was ranked 300 in the men's rankings, they destroyed her, man. It wasn't even close. So, if he's just simply saying that the women's MMA isn't as good as the men's MMA, then I believe he's entitled to say that, because it's true. It is fucking true. It's just like when you watch wrestling. The women's wrestling isn't as good as the men's because they're not as strong, they're not as athletic, they're not as fast. The technical work doesn't look as good. It looks more sloppy. Battery's running low. But you get my point, guys. I'm no running low. I've got a lot more to say. I think he's right. And then he says, number 3, men will pay more to see you naked than to watch you fight. And that's unfortunately true. And it's not Sean Strickland that decides that. It's just the way it is. Sex sells. And let's be honest, women like PAIGE VANZANT, women like these wrestlers that turn to OnlyFans, they're part of the problem. If they were not on these sites, if they were not selling their body online, then you wouldn't be able to pay. You wouldn't be able to make more money doing OnlyFans if they weren't doing it. So I think instead of women complaining about how, they don't get paid that much and, oh, I'm making more money doing OnlyFans and it's not right. Well, if you weren't prepared to fucking get naked and do shit online, then you wouldn't be making that money. So you're taking the cheap option. These women take the easy way out. They happily sell their body, yet they'll still complain about it. They complain about the people that's paying and they say it's wrong, yet they feed into it. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. It'd be like if it'd be like if you could make money off murdering people, and then you complain that, it's not fair that you can make money by doing this. Well, why are you doing it? Don't do it. If it's a criminal thing, it's not the right thing to do, so don't do it. Sometimes the right things to do are the harder things to do. And I feel like for a lot of these women, the harder thing to do would be to actually train harder, get better, and be the best in their field. But no, they always take the easy way out, and they always take their clothes off, and they always go on OnlyFans, and they always make a lot more money. Look at Mandy Rose. I mean, she was doing good in NXT. She could have got promoted to the main roster, and she could have been, one of the top women on Raw or SmackDown. But would it have made what she was making in OnlyFans or Fan Time? Of course not. And she took the easy way out. She decided that I'm going to pack in wrestling. I'm not going to give up this. I'm going to do the easy money. I'm going to lose my respect online, and I'm not going to work hard in the WWE, and I'm not going to fight for the top position in that company when I can just, take off my bra in my bedroom and make a lot more money. So, I mean, they can complain about this, but they feed into it. They're part of the problem. If they didn't sign up to these websites, if they weren't prepared to do all this shit, then the money wouldn't be there. So, it is what it is. As always, it's just zero accountability, unfortunately, and women tend to be good at that. Anyway, let's look at a reply here. So, Valentina Shevchenko says, quote, interesting unpack here. That looks more like an offended kid who's got less money in his entire fighter career than female fighters do. Good try. Maybe UFC will see that and add some cash. End of quote. I think she said some cash to your next fight, but well, I can't really see. The tweet's been cut off. So she's suggesting here that a lot of the women have more money than Strickland does, and I'm not too sure of their prize money or their their career earnings or whatnot, but that wouldn't surprise me if that is true. I would say a majority of women probably do have more money than Sean Strickland, and they're not better fighters than Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland would dismantle any woman in UFC, and I'm not saying that as if people don't know it, but I'm just pointing out the obvious here. I mean, he would beat Valentina Shevchenko and PAIGE VANZANT in the ring at the same time, and it wouldn't even be difficult for him. He'd probably do it in under a minute. He'd probably do it in 30 seconds. He would do it in 30 seconds, no doubt. So she's kind of suggesting that he's upset because he makes less money. But that is kind of his thing, These women are complaining, and it's like the only reason they're getting money is because they're hot, because they're women, because they can have sex appeal. That is a big reason why the women get paid more money. And you look at all sports, it's like tennis. I just mentioned it earlier. The women don't deserve the same amount of money as men, but they get it. I mean, a woman would never beat a man in a game of tennis. The women don't have the same ability as the men, but they get paid the same. And a lot of people do actually prefer watching women's tennis, but it's not because of the quality of the play. It's because a lot of the women are hot, and it is what it is. This is a fucking fact. And they wear skimpy outfits when they're playing tennis. This is undeniable. You can check it out. It's true. Anyway, Sean Strickland replied. He said, Valentina, you lost to a girl who pulls guard. You look like you learned striking from YouTube video. Laughed my ass off. Female MMA. It's like watching children fight. It's fun, but we all know it's trash. You only have a job because you know when to put heels on and take off your clothes. End of quote. So Sean Strickland here firing back at Valentina Shevchenko, saying that she might be a fighter, but she, dresses appropriately when she has to. She puts on her heels, she puts on, her best clothes outside of the ring. She keeps up an appearance outside of the ring that wants to see people watch her inside of the ring. And this is true. I mean, if you look at it, like, women can be successful based on looks. Women can get into companies based on looks. You look at the wrestling business, a lot of women will get into wrestling because they're hot, and same for UFC, and same for a lot of things. Guys actually need to be talented. No one's gonna, it's very rare a guy's gonna make it just because he's good looking. It might help him a little bit, but more often than not, you're going to get an opportunity. Sean Strickland's had to work a lot harder. He's had to be a much better fighter than these two. And I can see his point, to be honest. So a lot of people are trashing him in the comments, saying that he doesn't know what he's talking about, saying that he's a troll, saying that he's a clown, he's this and he's that. But, I mean, is he really a clown? Is he really... What has he actually said? He said that Paige VanZant would get paid a lot more money to take her clothes off than fight. And that is true, because Paige VanZant even said it herself. Paige VanZant said she made more in 24 hours doing OnlyFans than she did her entire career. So that's a fact, what he said. Then he said about how... What was the other thing he said? Can't remember. Let me see here. He said women's MMA is lame. Now, I wouldn't say it's lame, but if he said that men's MMA is at a higher quality than women's, then absolutely. Fact is, CM Punk would beat any woman in MMA, 100%. And then he said you were signed because you were hot. And that is partially true. I'm not going to say it's the only reason she was signed, but it definitely played a factor, and she definitely got on cards, and she definitely got promoted more than she would have. If Paige VanZant was ugly, we wouldn't know her name. That's the truth. If Paige VanZant was ugly, we wouldn't know her name, because she's an average fighter, very, very average, very basic, and she would not have been a big deal. She would not be on big cards. She would not be promoted everywhere. She'd not be doing photo shoots. She'd not be doing this. She'd not be one of the faces of UFC. That is a fact. So I think Sean Strickland, I know a lot of people won't like it, but I think even though he's being controversial, I look at the three things that he's saying, and I kind of agree with him. And then he even said at the end there, staying school kids, fighting sucks. So he's even basically, thrown a little joke out there that it's not really worth it. I mean, if you want to make money, then you probably shouldn't become a fighter. So if Paige VanZant wanted to make a lot of money, maybe she should have just went into the sex business at the very beginning instead of becoming a UFC fighter, because we all know it's kind of proven that to make good money in the UFC, you need to be at the very top. You need to be at the very top or be hot. And, Paige VanZant kind of does that. But I mean, MMA, very, it's a rare amount of people that have made big life-changing amounts of money. Obviously, you got Brock, Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor. I mean, outside of that's the three. I think that's the three massive draws in MMA. Outside of that, no one's really making that amount of money. So, I mean, it is what it is, guys. Anyway, let's know your thoughts. Do you like Sean Strickland? Do you agree with Sean Strickland? What do you think about what he said here? Do you think he's right? Do you think he's wrong? Do you think Valentina Shevchenko's right? Who do you think would win a fight? Strickland or Valentina Shevchenko? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace!